What's up, survivalist? Jason here. Today I'm going to go over why you may be getting cold when you're camping outside in freezing temps based on your gear. So the first thing that's going to be the biggest problem is going to be induction, and that is what is taking the heat away from you. So a sleeping pad is going to be really beneficial along with the sleeping bag. They work together. And having a simple accordion style sleeping pad in the cold is not going to be enough. You're going to need an actual sleeping pad with at least a R rating of 5 to 6 on there, and then that'll keep you decently warm. These inflatable that you have to blow up with your mouth can introduce kind of spit, and which make condensation inside there, freeze up, and create cold spots. So not as recommended, but you can still use it. You can combine them. So I have a Kelty Cosmic Air Pad. This one worked out pretty well, as long as this was right below it. This prevented more of that going through with all that heat. So this one I got from a thrift store. This is a Kelty backpacker, and it is a woman's, but I got it for $6. Can't beat that. This one is self-inflating, and the main difference between when it says women's is just how wide the shoulders are going to be, and sometimes it's going to be a little bit shorter when it comes to the women's. But this one has a rating of 5.6 on the R value. But this one got this valve. This inflates by itself. You gotta let this inflate by itself. So give yourself probably at least an hour. This will allow it to kind of open up. So make sure you have plenty of time to allow this to actually air up and allow the sleeping bag to kind of fluff back out, and that's where like all the heat's going to be. It's just going to hold it all inside there when it's all pooped out. Now when it comes to the sleeping bags, make sure that it is specific to the temperatures that you're expecting it to be. And when it comes to the ratings on here, the temperatures, they can be kind of lenient. They're not like the best. It's just more of the survivability when it says the lowest. But the comfort rating and survival rating, you gotta look into those when it comes to sleeping bags. So this one is a Suzy Sport, a 0 to 5 degree Fahrenheit sleeping bag. This one's done wonders, and it's a mummy style bag, so it kind of reaches over your head and just kind of gives a little bit more space. And one thing about the sleeping bags, you may be tempted, if your face is a little bit too cold, you may put like the sleeping bag over your face, but when you're breathing out, that introduces a bunch of condensation inside there, makes everything damp. It will make it worse. It'll get even colder. So what I would recommend, if you need something to cover your face, just get a little buffy, put it over your face, take a little beanie, put it over your face, maybe right here and right here, just enough to kind of keep that area away from any condensation from your body. And underneath your tent, I would recommend a ground cloth or tarp. This one is just a foil or mylar tarp. This has orange at the bottom. I would recommend having the mylar sticking up and then have the tent right on top of here. This one fits my tent perfectly. So if you don't happen to have the proper temperature reading when it comes to a sleeping bag, what you can do is take 2 regular sleeping bags. You can get them from like a thrift store, somewhere really cheap, and double up. So this would increase the temperature reading altogether, and it's a little bit more compact, because having something this size can eat up a lot of space inside your packs. So it might be tempting to have just a regular sleeping bag, but make sure to bring at least 2 when it comes to colder temperatures. What you could also do is get yourself a wool blanket. This rolls up really nice, and you could attach it to the bottom of your pack or the top of your pack, where you have your webbing. And this one provides plenty enough heat but also regulates your temperature so you won't be sweating. Now that I got the gear out of the way, let's get into more of the tips and tricks of staying warm while camping in freezing temperatures. So the first thing you should do is always carry some type of sleeping wear. You don't want to wear what you've been wearing all day, getting sweat, grime, all that stuff inside of the sleeping bag. This will introduce moisture and will make your night miserable. So having some type of thermals helps out too. Sometimes you can sleep in these too without any other pants. Denim is kind of bad on retaining heat, and they're horrible when it comes to moisture. They take forever to dry out. So having some type of good sleepwear helps out a ton. And right before bed, make sure to go pee. The urine in your bladder takes up a lot of the heat as it tries to keep the urine warm, and it reduces your body heat as it's concentrated inside of the bladder. So make sure to go pee. And also, if you happen to need to go pee at the middle of the night, go. Don't let it kind of simmer inside of there. It'll make it even worse and less body heat throughout the night. I know it might be hard to get out of the warm sleeping bag, but it's well worth it. So final tip of the day is to tuck in your shirt. This allows you to retain your body heat near your base layers, and do not rely on a bunch of coats and jackets to keep you warm. Allow the sleeping bag to do that. What happens is when you fall asleep, you sweat because you're not awake to regulate your own heat, and all that sweat will end up with moisture inside of the sleeping bag and keep you cold throughout the whole night. So there's my tips and tricks and reasons why you may be getting cold at night when you're camping in freezing temperatures. If you know any other tips and tricks, leave them down in the comments down below. And I want to thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.